You're listening to the Bloodshed Baddies.
Hi, I'm Lex,
And I'm Sam.
and we are the Bloodshed Baddies.
Hello, baddies.
Hi, everyone.
How are you?
So, Samantha, I know you live
Yes.
in Florida where it's nice most of the year. But for those of us who don't, the last 2 days in Nashville has been in the 70s and sunny.
Ooh.
And it's wonderful and it's amazing. And it makes me really realize how bad my seasonal depression is because all of a sudden I'm like, I love my life.
I feel like it's so real for so many people. Like the weather really changes the mood because actually yesterday in Florida it was extremely rainy and I was just so like, meh, I don't feel like doing anything.
Yeah. What is your like favorite thing to do on a 75-degree and sunny day?
Ugh. I mean, if I had my way, I didn't have anything else to do, probably go to the beach. We're close enough to drive there and enjoy the time at the beach.
Yeah,
What about
yo.
you?
Whenever this weather hits, I immediately want to go have a drink on a patio somewhere.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a very good one. I also just like being outside, like taking Bubba for a walk or sitting on the porch when I get home or like just being in the sun.
Yeah, I literally stood when we were sending kids home today. Like I took a step off the sidewalk from the shade and stood in the parking lot in the sun and was like, vitamin D.
Go on my face. I love it. Finally, nicer weather. Summer's coming. Spring break is coming for college kids and,
It's spring
school
break
children.
for school children this week in Nashville.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
For Florida, it's next week.
Where are we off?
Do your puppies prefer the hot or the cold?
Taco prefers the cold. He's like a fall and early spring kind of dog. He also loves the snow. Whereas Lady hates the cold. She does not like it at all.
So she's happy that the weather is
Oh
nicer.
yeah. She likes sunbathing. She like will literally sit out there and like in the summer in the 90-degree, 100-degree Nashville summers in the sun. And she'll be like, and I'm like, get some water. And she will not. She's like, no, I love it here.
Lady's a big girl, so that's actually really funny. Bubba, my dog, he's a husky, so he obviously loves snow and stuff, but he also enjoys sunbathing. When it's really warm, he just like lays on the deck and doesn't want to come in. But are you ready for it? Na, 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 na,
I
na, na.
am. And I'm very familiar with this case.
Yes, it is definitely a very popular case, but it's another listener suggestion today.
Tell us who it's by. Tell us who it's by.
Shout out to our very own Aunt Dina and Uncle Brian.
Aunt D and Uncle B.
We love you guys so much. They emailed us in and picked a great suggestion because, again, it's insane. It captured a lot of people's attention. It's very well known. So, today, Lex, we are going to talk about the disappearance and brutal murder of Natalee Holloway.
E-
Natalee Holloway was born October 21st, 1986, to the parents of Beth and Dave Holloway. About 2 years later, Beth and Dave also have a son named Matt. He will be about 16 years old at the time of Natalee's disappearance. Natalee and Matt grew up in Mississippi. In 1993, her parents end up getting divorced, and both parents end up remarrying. After her mother remarries, the family moved to Alabama. Although they were a state away, she still had a close relationship with her dad, and Natalee visited on the weekends, although once she got in high school, the visits weren't as frequent because of friends, busy schedules, which is super understanding, and her dad was also very understanding of this as well. Natalee was a student at Alabama Mountain Brook High School, and she was a straight baddie, Lex. She was a straight A student. She was on the dance team, in the Bible club, the Spanish honors club, the math honors club. She also had a part-time job at a health food store, and she somehow found time to volunteer.
What?
Yeah, like she was truly going places.
Thought college resume be stacked.
Well, great transition because not only was she doing her thing in high school, she also received a full ride scholarship to the University of Alabama, where she planned to major in pre-med.
That's amazing.
Yeah, again, baddie. Natalee graduated at 18 years old in May 2005. In her high school, it was like a thing to go on a class trip to Aruba after graduation to celebrate.
That's so fun. Have you ever
It's
been to
insane.
Aruba?
No, but I hear beautiful things after this research, scary things, but I hear everyone who's been told me it's like the prettiest place ever. Have you?
It's on my list. I haven't been. I think they have like a flamingo beach there where it's like a beach with a bunch of flamingos on it and you can like go feed the flamingos and stuff.
Oh my God, how beautiful. And like, what a great way to celebrate. You just graduated high school and you're going off to college. You get to hang out with your friends on vacation. Natalie's stepbrother went with his class a couple years earlier. Natalee really wanted to go on this trip. She called her dad and asked for his permission, and her dad tells her he doesn't feel comfortable with it. For one, he was like, this is too expensive for a graduation gift. And two, he admits to being kind of old school and just thinking that it wasn't really appropriate. But her mom and stepdad lived in the community. This is what a lot of the high school students in this community did. Her stepbrother went, like I said, a couple years earlier, and also her twin cousins graduated with her, and they were also going on that same trip.
I don't think I knew that part.
Not only that, but Natalee was a stellar student and really worked hard throughout high school. So they feel more comfortable allowing Natalee to go. And eventually, Natalee gets permission to go on this trip. So on this trip, a total of 125 students go. And there
That's
were,
so many more than I thought we were gonna go.
I know, and there were also seven older adult chaperones. On May 26, 2005, Natalee and her class arrives in Aruba. Remember, these students graduated, so a lot of them were 18 and adults themselves, so they were only required to check in once a day at like a scheduled meeting time where they would all have to meet up and check in with the older chaperones. So I'm sure the idea of chaperones also made her family feel more comfortable with going on this trip as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
May 29th is the day before her class was supposed to head back home. So a decent trip, but nothing too long. Natalee meets 17-year-old Joran Van Der Sloot at her hotel. Her friend was gambling and Natalee was just observing, and they met Van Der Sloot at the gambling table. He was also gambling. Later that night, Van Der Sloot meets her and the friends up at the Carlos and Charlie's Club in Orangestead, Aruba, for like a last night celebration. Another student from Natalee's school on this trip said he saw Natalee at the end of the night when he was heading back to the hotel room. He says she was kind of drunk, but she was walking fine and didn't seem like it was a problem at all, just like enjoying her time in Aruba. He offered her a ride and she said no and went back into the bar, I believe. He would later feel extremely guilty about this, but how was he supposed to know the horror of what was about to happen? On May 30th, the next morning, the class is set to depart from Aruba, and Natalee is a no-show. A group of her friends allegedly waited in the lobby for her until about 5 a.m. when they realized she wasn't back yet. Her passport and bags are untouched in her room. They will later check to see like when her key was last used, and it was 7 p.m. the night before. So she did not return back to the hotel, which is terrifying. I can't imagine the horror of being a friend or a chaperone during that realization. The last time anyone saw Natalee, she was driving off in a gray Honda with Van Der Sloot and two of his friends who happened to be brothers, the Kalpoe brothers. Of course, the chaperones call Natalee's family, and again, I can't imagine the horror of that phone call. Her mom, also baddie, either like borrows or rents a jet right away and gets to Aruba that night.
That's wild.
Right?
And also very nice that she had the means to be able to do that.
Exactly. They seem to have the means more so than her dad's side. So he books a commercial flight, and the only available one was where he couldn't get to Aruba until the next morning.
I'd be like, bitch, take me on that plane with you.
I know. I don't know the relationship there. It seems like on Natalee's graduation, they got together for the first time in a really long time. And it was like very nice. Yes. A U.S. drug force person was actually staying at the hotel where Natalee and her class were at, and he made some phone calls for the family. But unfortunately, just like the U.S., you have to wait 24 hours to report a missing person. We'll find out that this is one of the only similarities to the justice system in the US and Aruba.
I feel like if somebody is supposed to get on a flight, whether whatever country they're in, and they are nowhere to be found and all of their belongings are left behind, you should get to skip the 24 hours thing.
Yes.
I
Yes.
just feel like you're not going anywhere without your passport and all your like even if all your stuff's behind, you're not going anywhere without your passport. You can't get anywhere without it.
Exactly. But her parents are kind of stuck in having to get there and then waiting and just hoping that Natalee shows up. When her classmates arrive back home later that night, her stepdad meets them there and they tell her stepdad that Natalee left the bar in a car with a quote, nice kid who played soccer visiting Aruba from Holland. The other boys on the trip hung out with this nice boy the night before, so they knew of him. However, spoiler alert, Van Der Sloot is not nice at all and was not just visiting Aruba, he lived there. So he lied to them all.
Dick.
Van Der Sloot's dad was a lawyer in Aruba and he was trying to be a judge, but like failed the test or was trying to test and train for it at the time. Some sources said he was, in fact, a judge, but that wasn't the case.
I rolled my eyes so hard at that for those of you who can't see us, which is everybody.
Van Der Sloot himself was only 17 years old. He was often seen gambling, drinking, and driving. The legal
Can you gamble at 17 there?
the legal age for all of that, gambling, comma, drinking, comma, and driving in Aruba is 18. So,
So
no.
no.
Yes.
No, you can't do fucking any of that.
So Van Der Sloot clearly thinks he is above the law.
Because his dad is the law.
He's also
Ooh, I'm
seen
angry already. I'm angry already.
he's also seen gambling with his dad.
Oh my God, stop it.
Yes, a lawyer who's trying to be a judge. So yes, they think they are above the law.
Ew, these people are gross.
They are. Van Der Sloot was also known for putting the date rape drug in girls' drinks.
So great.
Which
Love that.
is probably why I feel like he told the students he wasn't from Aruba, also trying to like relate to them and make them feel more comfortable with his like creepy, creepy presence.
Yeah.
So when Natalee's mom first got to Aruba, there was some hope. The family called the airline Natalee was supposed to come home on, and someone from Delta confirmed that a woman called and changed Natalee's flight to later. So her parents and others were very hopeful she was still alive, even though they hadn't heard from her. Maybe she got messed up in something. She called, changed her flight, was planning to come home. So, because they believe she changed her flight, her dad ends up canceling his flight to Aruba. But it turns out that it was just a chaperone who called, hoping she would reappear and just trying to be helpful.
That's nice. That's nice. But like maybe tell her parents that. Like maybe tell people that you did that.
I know. At first, I was like, come on. But then you think like she really had good intentions. She probably just thought like maybe Natalee went somewhere else and got messed up with a boy or something and was on his way, her way home.
Let me give her extra time.
Yes,
That way she's not stuck in an airport without all of us because we're all going home.
exactly. When the family finds this out, they obviously start worrying and freaking out even more. And her dad rebooks his flight.
This poor man.
This poor family for the rest of the time. The day after Natalee went missing, her mother Beth was in a car looking for her when Van Der Sloot actually approached Beth's parked vehicle.
No, he did not.
I believe at this point, Beth knew he was one of the last people to be with Natalee, and she told him, I want my daughter back. Apparently, this scumbag smirked, beat his chest, and replied, what do you want me to do?
This guy's a full-blown narcissist. And I don't throw that word around lightly.
Yeah. He also allegedly told her his first story that he dropped Natalee off at the Holiday Inn, the hotel she was staying at, and that was the last he heard or saw her.
This ends up being his story for a while, doesn't it?
With some minor changes, yes. As soon as Natalee's dad gets to Aruba, he goes to the police station, and the first thing out of the cop's mouth when he's like, I'm here, my daughter Natalee's missing, is How much money do you have?
Oh
So red flag.
my God. And then like, oof, it's hard because it's like, I don't want to bribe cops. And I know they could be giving me stupid fake ass information anyways, if they're
Yep.
cops that are bribable. But also like, what if they do tell me something good? Should I just pay them?
Yeah. So he basically like told the dad at first, like, oh, she ran away with a boy and she's happy and she's in love. Go to Charlie's, the place she was last seen, and have a drink. Don't worry about
Ooh.
it.
Ooh.
Yep. Can you imagine someone telling you that when your
At the
child is
place
missing?
that your daughter disappeared from.
Yep.
Relax. Kick up your legs. Have the same drink she had right before she was mysteriously missing.
Yep. This cop will end up being terrible throughout the investigation. And I truthfully believe he helps hide evidence and sways the investigation in another direction throughout this whole thing.
Cool, 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 cool. Sounds like a great guy.
But after her dad talks with the police, him and Beth kind of break off into two camps and they're searching all over Aruba. They are meeting with people in relation to the investigation. They are doing interviews to get Natalee all over the media. And on June 1st, 2005, the official search begins with the police and whatnot.
Wow, Aruba is very tiny. Sorry, I just looked it up.
No, how tiny?
It's 21 miles long and 6 miles wide.
So very tiny.
Yeah. So they like literally could go over the whole island.
Yes, but there's lots of rocky terrain and things like that that they have to go over as well. But yes, they're searching in these two camps. In the book I read from her dad's perspective, he drove to the lighthouse where a lot of people said that she was at first. It was rough terrain, it was very dangerous. Her dad explored crack houses, garbage dumps, like anywhere you can think of. This family is searching, and he isn't just doing it with the police. Her dad is doing it on his own, and eventually they get a third party company to help out as well.
Wow.
Now, because Aruba is part of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, they also send the Dutch police to help out, and they are absolutely useless. And when they come, the dad's like, okay, maybe they'll be helpful. And they literally ask the dad, okay, what do you want us to do with the search?
Um, Search.
Yeah, and the dad is like, I have no searching experience. Like, shouldn't you be the one telling me what to do and where to look and things like that? So there's a lot of frustration from the family, rightfully so, very soon after her disappearance. On June 5th, the first arrests are made in the case, which were two former security guards of a hotel closed from renovation. Although they are released 8 days later, it is unclear why they are arrested. It could be because of Van Der Sloot's first statement to the police. The police interview Van Der Sloot because, again, she was the last seen with him. Some witnesses also said they saw him and the brothers thoroughly cleaning the car they were in after the disappearance. Tell me you're guilty without being guilty.
Exactly.
Van Der Sloot sticks with his first story that he dropped Natalee off at a hotel, but she was pretty wasted. And this is from his mouth. A dark colored security guard helped her in. And this said security guard could confirm that. So first he's trash.
I love when these people try to cover their tracks and they're like, some minority did it.
Exactly.
Like, screw fucking you.
Not only are you a terrible person, you're also pretty racist.
Yeah.
Van Der Sloot actually goes to the hotel with authorities to point this said security guard out. And what do you know? He can't find him.
Oh, maybe he doesn't exist.
After this initial story, the boys, Van Der Sloot and the brothers, keep changing their story for like ever. For instance, they say they went to the beach because Natalee was insistent to go and then left her at the beach because she didn't want to leave. Van Der Sloot will say he had sex with Natalee. Then he'll say he didn't have sex with her. He will also blame the Kalpoe brothers, just constantly changing the story. The Kalpoe
Just
brothers
see what
say,
sticks.
yeah, the Kalpoe brothers say they went home and slept, but there was also an 8-minute phone call the night of Natalee's disappearance between Van Der Sloot and the brothers that shows they weren't sleeping. Van Der Sloot's dad will eventually say he picked him up, but will change the time. First, saying he picked his son up around 4 a.m., and then after all of this happening, he'll change to say he picked him up at 11 before Natalee disappeared.
I just feel like thank God. Well, I mean, not thank God because it didn't turn out easily, but thank God people are so dumb. But like, why would you not just stick to the same story? Like, even
Because
if it's completely false and the police can't find anything, changing a million times doesn't make you seem innocent.
1,000% agree. However, I do believe even with the end, the Kelpo brothers at least knew something or whatnot. So they're probably just all scared. Oh, they're telling it, they're the
Yes.
ones saying it. I got to change my story to make me look good. On June 9th, Van Der Sloot and the Kelpo brothers are taken into custody. In Aruba, you can hold someone just on suspicion that they committed a crime. So, like, no evidence, just on suspicion.
It's wild.
So, that is how they are taken into custody without an official arrest. Natalie's father actually tried to visit Van Der Sloot in jail. He thought if he was face to face, he could tell if he was lying and would possibly get answers, which the family so desperately wanted.
Yeah, at this point,
Vander,
you're just like grasping for straws.
mm-hmm. Van Der Sloot's dad, who let me remind you is a lawyer, is there, and he stops Natalie's father from visiting his son. He also says that he will do anything to help his son. And then Van Der Sloot's mother makes a weird comment, like, maybe him being in jail will teach him a lesson. But about what? Because you're both claiming he's innocent.
Oh, what kind of lesson, ma'am?
The most she'll say is he left when he wasn't supposed to, like he snuck out. And being in jail would
Oh, yeah, that's a
teach him a
great
lesson.
punishment for sneaking out.
His mother will also tell Natalie's father that the boys were unfairly targeted. So Natalie's father takes this opportunity to confront Van Der Sloot's dad about something he heard Van Der Sloot's dad allegedly tell the boys, meaning his son and the Kalpoe brothers. Because he's a lawyer, he knows how the system works in Aruba, and Van Der Sloot's dad allegedly told the boys not to say anything to the police, and if there's no body, then there's no crime.
Okay, cool.
Van Der Sloot's dad denies the claim.
Of course he does. I never did that. Where'd those boys come up with that? I don't know. Crazy.
On June 22nd or 23rd, Paulus Van Der Sloot, Van Der Sloot's dad, is also arrested. There were many rumors that he helped his son cover the murder up or bury her. And remember his story about dropping his son off. Paulus is a piece of work. And when they come to arrest him, he refuses to get in the police car. And the Aruban police allow him to drive himself to jail. 3 days later, however,
Does he actually drive himself to jail?
Yeah. Because
He actually drives himself to jail. He doesn't try to get out. He doesn't try to run away. He's
No,
like,
he-
okay, cool. I'll drive myself to jail.
Yeah. 3 days later, they release him after questioning, and he walks right to his car from the police and drives home.
That's wild.
Yep. While all of this is going on, the media is all over this. Tips and theories are rolling in. The dad eventually sets up an email where you can send tips, and it gets so full, he has to set up several emails. But the family is combing through all of these tips and getting their hopes up and let down over and over and over again. Within these tips, there's also some scam artists reaching out and trying to scam this poor family. There's people being rude. There's people saying that Van Der Sloots are innocent. There are psychics saying they know what happened. There are people saying just some wild, wild stuff. And I cannot imagine the stress of it all.
That must be so disheartening. Like, all you want is your daughter home and you have to deal with all this.
Yes. And like nasty rumors and people just saying off the wall stuff because people just write in to write in. And I just can't imagine. By September 2005, 3 months later, the Kalpoe brothers and Van Der Sloot are released without charges based on insufficient evidence. They could not keep them any longer, I believe, based on the Aruban laws. You can only keep them for so long when you're keeping them just on suspicion.
I mean, that's longer than I thought you could keep somebody on suspicion.
So Natalee officially goes missing the end of May. In August, about 3 months later, the FBI gets involved. Now, the rest I'm going to kind of run through quickly, although keep an eye on the dates for how much time has passed. Also, it's important to know that throughout all of this, the family was still spending time traveling to and from Aruba. The family was still searching all over Aruba. The family was still making appearances on TV to keep Natalee in the public eye. The police in Aruba were still messing with this family. They even tried to say that Beth, Natalie's mom, was involved in hiding Natalee somewhere to get money.
I'm sorry, what?
Yes. Her mom also got death threats about going to Aruba, so had to stay back on an occasion. Paulus, Van Der Sloot's dad, was officially cleared of being involved. He said he got a letter from Natalee saying that she was just running away or something ridiculous that clearly never happened. No one ever saw this letter.
She wrote a letter to this guy's dad?
Allegedly, but no.
And was like, how? Why would you even think that's believable? Why would she write a letter to Van Der Sloot's dad saying, I'm running away? Just wanted you to know. Hope you get cleared, Mr. Trying to be judge.
Yep. One of the Kalpoe brothers said he would do a tell-all for money during this time. Her mom received a phone call that someone on the other line said, "Mommy, help me."
No.
Yep.
That's fucked.
Absolutely sick.
That's the most fucked up shit I ever heard.
People are still writing in quote unquote tips, a lot of which she's still alive. People are saying she's a sex slave. There is someone during this time named Shango posting riddles about her disappearance and whereabouts. I can't even begin to fathom the emotional turmoil the family had to go through. And this is during everything else I'm about to say.
This is disgusting.
Yeah. In February 2006, a little less than a year after Natalee's disappearance, Van Der Sloot flies to New York to do an interview with ABC News, which But he tells them he left Natalee Holloway on the beach that night and went home. He denied harming her or killing her in any way and admits to lying about the story because he was afraid he would be in trouble for sneaking out.
Yeah, that's what you were afraid of.
February
Your dad takes you gambling and drinking underage, but they're going to be mad you snuck out one night. That fucking makes sense.
February 16th, Natalee's family files a suit with the Supreme Court that accuses Van Der Sloot of malicious disregard for safety and well-being and claims his father enabled his son's predatory behavior, which I agree with. The suit is later dismissed on August 3rd, so a letdown to the family.
Yeah, that's got to be like a hard one to actually prove in court.
Yes. December of 2006, Natalee's family takes legal action against the Kalpoe brothers. They're just trying everything they can to get answers and justice, and again, a judge dismisses the suit. In November of 2007, now over 2 years after Natalee's disappearance, Van Der Sloot and the Kalpoe brothers are arrested again due to new evidence in the case, and they are actually charged this time with voluntary manslaughter and causing serious bodily harm. There is some hope here for Natalee's family in that they will finally get answers this time and that they are actually arrested. However, by December 2007, a few weeks later, a judge orders their release, citing lack of direct evidence, which is odd since they were able to get arrested. Is it possible someone was paid off? Did Van Der Sloot's dad have something to do with it? In February 2008, now we're at almost 3 years after Natalee's disappearance, and again, the family is going through all of that. Aruban officials reopened the case against Van Der Sloot. They do this because Dutch reporter Peter de Vries secretly videotaped Van Der Sloot describing Natalee's death.
Wait, I'm sorry. What?
But Aruban officials were not able to corroborate those statements said in the video. So again, some hope the case is reopened, and then another total letdown.
Okay.
March 2010. We are almost 5 years after Natalee's disappearance. Van Der Sloot, the piece of trash scum that he is, demands money from Beth Holloway, Natalee's mom.
This is the part that I don't even like getting into because it's horrid.
He says if they give him $250,000 with $25,000 up front, he would provide the location to Natalee's remains. Disgusting. Of course, her mother wants answers and will do anything to get them. And they agreed to give him $10,000 cash and wire him $15,000. This turd burglar claims another story that he picked her up and she demanded to be put down. So he threw her to the ground. He said that Natalie's head hit a rock and she was killed instantly by impact. Van Der Sloot then allegedly took Beth's lawyer to a house and claimed his father, who has since died, buried Natalie's body in the building's foundation, but this was worthless information. After this exchange, Van Der Sloot messages the lawyer, says it was all a lie, and within days, Van Der Sloot leaves or flees Aruba and goes to Peru.
He is a human piece of garbage. There is not a redeeming quality about this man. This is true blue fucking narcissism. Narcissism is not like just when your boyfriend's mean to you. This is what fucking true ass narcissism looks like. That you can fucking do this to a human being.
Can you imagine paying someone? First off, feeling disgusting doing that, but just because you want to know what happened to our child, just because you want to bury your child and find out where her last remains were, and then he texts, it was all a lie, JK, and flees to Peru.
Like, disgusting. I don't believe like a life for a life or like the consequence for you killing someone should be being killed yourself. But God, this world would be a better place without him on it.
Don't disagree.
How much date rape drugs is he buying with that money? How many other girls is he taking home and raping and possibly doing worse things too with this money that he got from a woman he killed's family?
And it makes me think he seems to have some like vendetta against Beth. That like, is he the one or his dad the one responsible for the phone call, for the death threats against Beth, for saying that Beth was involved to the police? Like,
I didn't even think about that.
yeah, absolutely insane. On May 30th, 2010, 5 years to the day after Natalee Holloway disappeared, Van Der Sloot strikes again. 21-year-old Stephany Flores Ramírez was found beaten to death in Van Der Sloot's Atlanta casino hotel room.
5 years to the day.
To the day.
The exact day. A woman is found beaten to death in his own hotel room.
Stephany Flores was a 21-year-old college student in Lima, Peru. She was studying business administration at University of Lima, probably to join her family business. Ricardo Flores, her father, was a former race car driver and a presidential candidate.
Holy moly.
I know. Cool.
That's wild.
What a cool guy. Man of many traits. Stephany was polite and respectful and loved meeting new people. She had 4 brothers. She was also an avid poker player and really, really good, which is like super cool. She won something like $10,000 just a couple nights before. And she was at the
baddie. Her family,
1,000.
Family of baddies.
And Stephany was at the casino for a tournament and told her dad she would be home right after. It was not like her to not come home. So when her dad realizes she never came home, he calls her brothers. They call her friends who also haven't heard from her, and they report her missing. They immediately check the surveillance from the hotel, her last known whereabouts. Footage shows Stephany entering the room where the tournament was around 3 a.m., and she sat next to a man, aka Van Der Sloot, who was already sitting at the table.
This is like his gross MO, is like girls gambling.
You're right. I didn't even put that together. They left together just after 5 a.m., and further footage was found and shows Stephany and Van Der Sloot entering a hotel room at 5:16 a.m. Van Der Sloot left a while later and returned with 2 cups of coffee and bread. 3 hours and 20 minutes after they first went into the hotel room together, he leaves again, this time with his backpack. He told the hotel staff not to disturb the girl in the room.
You're disgusting. You're vile. Also, let me guess. Some minority fucking hotel worker saw her last. Like, what's your excuse for this? She's in your hotel room. You're on camera. Like, he's gotten even more ballsy.
He's awful. According to the idiot, they were playing online poker on his computer, and after receiving a threatening message about Natalie's death, he explained to Stephany the connection, and Stephany freaked out. He says Stephany hit him first on the side of the head, and then he raged.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what happened.
Apparently, after choking and beating her, Van Der Sloot smothered Stephany with his bloody shirt so she wouldn't go to the police. He
Yeah, that
says,
makes sense. You can't just like knock her out and leave. If that was the like, obviously, this whole fucking story is made up. None of this actually happened.
correct.
But if we did get to the point where she punched him first, like she's a girl, and I'm not saying not all girls are strong, but it doesn't sound like she's a fucking bodybuilder or like an avid CrossFitter. That's not like her life. He could just like hit her hard enough to be unconscious and run away for a second.
Also, if she really did hit him first, I feel like she has every right to because, according to his story, which I don't believe at all, she just found out that you were involved in Natalee Holloway's disappearance and murder. So I probably would punch the person I was sitting next to if I found that out as well. Like, can you imagine? She's just supposed to go, oh, cool, let's keep playing online poker. Like, come on. But he says this was impulsive. Like we both said, do not believe this at all. It is not lost on me the day. It seems like he was trying to recreate the killing to me and picked her out on purpose.
Oh yeah, on the day of, I bet he fucking drugged her, raped her, and killed her, just like he did in Natalee.
I bet $1,000,000, which I don't have, but I think I would win. This stinky butt cheek then fled across the border to Chile.
I want to go to it in another country. No one will notice.
On June 3rd, he was arrested in Chile and sent to Peru to face charges for Stephany's murder. He initially said he was innocent, and a man came into the room. But 3 days later, he told his story. That same month, I believe June 30th, Van Der Sloot is also indicted in the U.S. on federal charges of wire fraud and extortion in connection with the March meeting with Beth's attorney.
Wow, consequences for your actions.
Meanwhile, Van Der Sloot tries to make a deal about his charge for Stephany's murder. He says he will tell Aruban police where Natalee's remains are for a lighter sentence. They do not agree with this.
Thank Jesus, because he would have just lied, just like he did to her mom.
He ends up pleading guilty to Stephany's murder January 13th, 2012, and is sentenced to 28 years in prison. He will later claim he was forced to confess and only did this because his lawyer said he would only serve a maximum of 15 years. He's just such a little baby.
I just like, where did he get his audacity? Like, where do you pick up that much audacity?
Ready to freak?
No.
This disgusting pig man somehow gets married in jail, which just makes me so angry.
I will never understand this. And I just feel very bad for the women who think the only man they can get is somebody in jail who harasses and murders women.
I am probably saying her name wrong, but Heidi Figaro was visiting another relative in prison, and that's where she met Van Der Sloot. They became friends.
She saw him from across the room and knew it was fate. Ew.
And unlike in the US, in Peru, loved ones or relatives can visit you in your cell.
What?
Which to me is not cool at all.
What?
Yeah, and you can spend like a lot of time together.
Just hanging out in your cell.
They
You want to
spend
come see the place? Here's my fucking toilet. Here's my fucking bed. What?
Well, they spend so much time together, Lex, that they get pregnant. Then they get married when she's 7 months pregnant on July 4th, 2014. Some think he got married to possibly get out of being extradited to the US, but his lawyer said there was no hidden agendas and that they are in love.
Yeah, they are in love. That guy can love. That's for sure.
A month later, he threatened to kill the warden at the jail and
chill.
Was sent to a prison high in the Andes. So a little bit more challenging for his wife to come visit him.
Great. That sounds great.
And on September 28th, 2014 at 11 a.m., they welcome a baby girl.
What's her name?
Let's look it up.
Dushy.
Dushy.
Dushy. After Van Der Sloot's grandmother.
Little Dushy.
There's less than 100 people in the U.S. named Dushy.
Poor little Dushy.
This is not even a real name.
In addition to
it might be douchey. Oh, see, it does say douchey.
In addition to Van Der Sloot's 28-year prison sentence for brutally murdering Stephany, Van Der Sloot was also convicted in 2021 of trafficking cocaine into his Peruvian prison. He's sentenced to an additional 18 years in Peru.
Okay, wait, I'm sorry. 28 years for brutally raping and murdering a girl, 18 for putting cocaine in the prison.
Agreed, ridiculous, but good. Keep him there longer.
Yes, keep him there as long as you can. But I just think like maybe there should be more than 10 years between those two crimes.
Agreed. I do agree. In May 2023, plans for Van Der Sloot's extradition from Peru to the US was finally announced. Beth said, quote, I was blessed to have Natalee in my life for 18 years, and as of this month, I have been without her for exactly 18 years. And how gut-wrenching.
Oh my gosh.
Just got a little teary almost. June 8th, 2023, Van Der Sloot was extradited to the U.S. and was brought to Birmingham, Alabama. October 18th, 2023, Van Der Sloot pled guilty as part of a plea deal to the federal extortion charges and was sentenced to 20 years in prison to run concurrently with the Peruvian sentence, which I wish wasn't concurrent.
Concurrent sentences.
I know, just keep tacking them on. As part of the plea deal, Van Der Sloot agreed to provide information about Natalee's death.
He's not going to.
Van Der Sloot's story, which I hope for the sake of the family is true, completely true, is that Natalee wanted to go back to the hotel that night, but he arranged for the car to drop them off a little bit further away so they could walk back and he could still get a chance to be with her, which is gross. They walked on the beach and he said he laid Natalee down and began kissing her. And she told him to stop. This pig did not. So Natalee kneed him in the crotch, which
Good.
heck yes.
I hope that's true.
Yes.
I have a hard time believing anything out of his mouth. I do hope this is true as well, but who knows?
He got up and kicked her extremely hard in the face. His little ego of being turned down. He says she laid there unconscious, possibly even dead. He then found a cinder block on the beach and smashed her head with it.
That's disgusting.
He walked to the ocean and pushed her into the water. Unfortunately, because the plea deal was accepted, his confession in the Natalee Holloway case cannot be used against him.
That's ridiculous.
Even though he brutally killed two young women who
at least
truth, and who I think both refused his sexual advances, because I bet you any money Stephany with 4 brothers kicked him in the crotch also. He will only serve time for one. Natalee's mother said to Van Der Sloot, your lies and manipulation, taunting us with fake news, interviews, and wild stories of what happened to her have caused indescribable pain and harm to my family and me. Even though this whole situation is crap, Beth, Natalee's mother, told reporters, quote, I got the answer I've been searching for the last 18 years. For me, reaching the end of this nightmare is better than closure. Natalee's father said, what I have come to realize is the impossibility of having what this man took from us restored. And over time, I found some level of peace and acceptance of that reality. Today's proceeding confirmed that this defendant murdered Natalee and then tortured and extorted those who loved her most. As I expressed to Judge Manasco, he is evil personified. We are living every parent's nightmare. Today and every day, please hug your children in honor and loving memory of our daughter, Natalee Ann Holloway. And that is the case of Natalee and the horrible story of Van Der Sloot. Evil personified, like Natalee's father said.
Yes. The most vile human being. And I can't wait until the day he's no longer on this planet.
And I think you made a really good point that these are two people that we know of. This was obviously his MO since he was rumored to be putting date rape drugs in girls' drinks, because you don't just say that.
No way Natalee was the first with how planned out it was.
100% agree that
I don't think it was this like, oh, we're just walking on the beach and I started kissing you. I think this was a very well thought out, well planned. Here's a little white girl tourist. I can easily tell she's not from around here. I can easily tell she's young and doesn't know what she's doing. And I can manipulate the situation just like he did with Stephany and just like he's done with probably many other girls who just weren't as important as Natalee and didn't have families like Natalee and Stephany to advocate for them or notice that they were gone.
Yeah. And like growing up, how he did think like his dad basically being like, yeah, come gambling with me and drinking with me, even though you're 17 and you're above the law, and the Arubian police taking bribes and things like that, just thinking that they can get away with anything, thinking that, oh, Natalee's family won't make a big deal about this. It's just their daughter gone. It's just disheartening. It's a lot to fit into, one story, but insane and wild.
And gross.
Yeah, and I hope I just did it justice.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for listening. Please give us a follow on social media platforms. We're on Instagram at Bloodshed Baddies. We're on TikTok at Bloodshed Baddies. We're on Facebook, Bloodshed Baddies. We're on YouTube, Bloodshed Baddies.
Woo!
You can also check out our Podbean website, bloodshedbaddies.podbean.com. Remember to like and subscribe, download our episodes. The downloading really helps us get our names out there, get more people visible. So do our reviews. So please, please, please help with that.
And don't forget to send us an email with a case suggestion or a story, or just to say, what up, baddies, to bloodshedbaddies@gmail.com. Our intro music is made by our awesome cousin Vinny. And tell a friend, tell a loved one, shout it from the rooftops, and tune in next week for Lexi's episode.
Bye.
Love you.